Chapter 9. Later that night, Sierra lay in her bed in the dark, staring up at the ceiling, the day's events spinning around in her head. As much as she hated to admit it, whatever she had seen in Paul had been gone when she returned from outside speaking to Aiden. Whatever it was on his end or hers, she didn't feel as excited by the rest of the date as she had in those first few minutes. They had enjoyed their pizza and the conversation had flowed, but it had been nothing special. It was the first Tinder date she didn't regret, however, as she did have a good time. But at the end of the night, as they had bid each other farewell, Paul hadn't tried to kiss her, nor had he said anything about another date. He had just said he had enjoyed it before walking off into the night without looking back. What transpired outside the restaurant during said date rose to the forefront of her mind, and she brought her hand to her lips as she remembered Aoden's forceful kiss. Although it hadn't been welcome or expected, it hadn't been bad. Actually, it had been one of the better kisses she had shared in the last few years. Sierra rolled over, trying to find a comfortable position so she could get some sleep. But her thoughts were running wild, wondering why Aoden had kissed her like that. Sure, she had dated in the United States, but her studies had always come first, leading her to more frequently date fellow students who were inexperienced in the more physical aspects of a relationship. She had honestly had more bad kisses than good ones. Did Aoden like her? She didn't think so. At least the way he acted didn't make her think he did. But then again, he was strange. Maybe this was his way of showing affection, like some kind of prepubescent boy. Sierra groaned and sat up in bed. She wasn't going to get any sleep with her thoughts swirling like this. Wanting a little mindless relief, she made her way to the couch and flipped on the TV, looking through her Netflix account for something to watch. She had class tomorrow, so she didn't want to binge all night, but she definitely couldn't sleep with the way her thoughts were whirling around in her brain. The conversation with Tyler came to her mind, and she skipped over a few movies that she knew were books. Although she didn't owe Tyler anything, she wondered if he had a point about books being better than the movie. Maybe she would have to read one eventually to see for herself. Just as she selected a random comedy movie that looked decent that she wouldn't mind missing the end of, her phone lit up with a call. It was her older sister, Maria. "Maria," she said sternly as she answered the phone. Her sister rarely called her for social purposes. "Hello, Sierra. That's all I get? My name, not even a greeting?" Her sister's voice replied sarcastically. Sierra sighed. "You and I both know you don't make phone calls for social reasons unless you lost your job at the hospital recently and were calling to tell me that." "No, you're right. But you don't have to be so blunt. I'm sorry I don't call more." Maria's voice sounded sincere, but Sierra kept her guard up. It wasn't the first time she had apologized for not being part of Sierra's life, and she was sure it wouldn't be the last. "So, what is it this time?" "Mom says you won't talk to her." Sierra groaned. "You've got to be kidding me." "She said you won't take her calls." Sierra heard background noise which sounded suspiciously like papers sliding on top of one another. "Are you calling me from work?" Maria huffed. "Okay, yes. I am calling you on my coffee break. Now, will you tell me what's up with you and Mom?" "Okay. So I skipped one call from her because I was at work on my all-too-short lunch break after she basically hung up on me for not disciplining Diego for her. You happy now?" "Geez, you don't have to be so dramatic." "Neither does Mom. I swear I'm halfway around the world and it still isn't far enough away to avoid this pettiness. Tell Mom if she wants to talk to me, she can text me and arrange a good time to call." Maria sighed. "Come on, Sierra. Don't do this to Mama." "Do what? Have boundaries? I am 25 years old. I don't need my mother breathing down my neck when I don't even live in the same country. Now, Maria, respectfully, Back off. All right, calm down, Sierra. I'll tell Mom. The line went quiet. Sierra was waiting for her sister to ask how life was going and to ask how she was doing, but she just heard papers shuffling in the background. I'm sorry, Maria, Sierra said at last. I don't mean to raise my voice at you. I know you didn't put yourself up to this. How's work? The papers shuffled in the background and she heard a beeping noise. Fine. Speaking of work, that's my pager. Gotta go, Maria said in a hurry before the line went dead. Sierra removed the phone from her ear, looking at the background behind her apps, which was some stock photo of mountains that had come with a phone. She was so tired of the petty drama her family engaged in. She wished she could brush this off as a one-time thing, but it had already been happening for years, and apparently, even living in Dublin wouldn't stop it. With a sigh, Sierra pressed play on the TV, and the opening credits for the movie she had chosen began. She looked down at her phone, wishing she had someone she could talk to. She briefly thought of calling Diego, but quickly pushed the thought aside. It would only make the current situation worse. She also thought about texting Tyler, since he had said he was serious about being friends. But a quick glance at the time told her he was likely asleep since it was already past midnight, and she certainly didn't want him thinking it was a booty call. Not seeing any other viable options, Sierra grabbed her fuzzy blanket off the back of the couch and tucked it around her. It was her and Netflix tonight.